All right. So first of all, thanks to all of you for coming to tonight's webinar, which will kick off the partnership that Eco Athletes has just started with Carbon Collective, and Breen Murphy from Carbon Collective will explain how this partnership will work and how our Eco Athletes champions can become referrers of Carbon Collective to companies, to universities, to nonprofits for their 401ks. So what we're going to do is we are going to, as you are all veterans of Eco Athletes community chats, we will go around and do a quick introduction, 15 seconds. I'm Lou Blaustein, the founder of Eco Athletes, and now I am going to hand it over to Riley Barr. Riley, go for it.
Hello, I'm Riley Barr. I'm calling in from Tallahassee, Florida right now. I go to Florida State University. I run cross country and track, and I'm super excited to hear from Breen today about Carbon Collective and how we can help out.
Awesome. And now I'm going to hand it over to Rian Murphy.
Howdy. Name's Rian. I am in College Station, Texas. I just graduated in December from Texas A&M University with my master's. And I was on the equestrian team there. So yeah.
Awesome.
You're on what team again? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
The equestrian team.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And they're a top ranked equestrian team. I just want to brag on. I just want to brag on the Aggies, and and I also want to brag on Riley, that she has been one of the most inquisitive, forward-thinking champions that we've had, and I'm glad that she's joined us. And now I'm going to move over to Mr. Gary Gilliam in the house.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gary Gilliam. I'm a former NFL player, played for the Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers. I retired in 2019, and now I am the CEO and founder of the Bridge Eco Village.
Cool.
Yeah. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time bragging on Gary because I could. I'll just refer you to, I'll send you all a podcast interview I did with him about 18 months ago. And you'll get the story, which is phenomenal. Now over to Jeannie.
Hi, I'm Jeannie. I live in Park City, Utah. I'm a professional half pipe skier. I also work with the country of Vanuatu for climate justice that they're bringing to the UN this month for a vote. And I also am the co-founder of Mo Crazy Strong nonprofit, and I produced a documentary for the nonprofit, and it deals with brain injury recovery and support. And we were actually just showing the film and doing advocacy work in Washington, D.C. to get more money and support for brain injury recovery across the U.S.
That's cool. That's really cool. I mean, there's so many sports that are affected by that.
And I'm going to brag on Jeannie a little bit too. She makes her own clothes as well, and has an incredible style.
Yeah, for all of my screenings, I decided I'll make my own clothes. So we've had 4 screenings, and we have a few more coming up.
Very cool.
Fantastic. And now, last but never least, is Merla Levand. Merla, you're up.
I am Estonian national open water swimmer. Plus, I own world championship medals in ice swimming. Have done triathlon, and I still love swimming in a pool. But right now, I'm doing Guinness World Records to raise awareness for ocean pollution and
Awesome.
plastic and microplastic. And I actually have changed the law in Nicaragua as well to stop throwing dynamites to catch the fish, and constantly like trying to advocate people about oceans and what is happening.
And one more, because I'm a bragger of Eco Athletes Champions. As for Marla, she is about to embark on yet another Guinness World Record mermaid swim, where she swims, if y'all can imagine, in a monofin, does not use her arms, okay? And I believe, if I have it right, Marla, 30 miles?
Yeah, it's gonna be my birthday, and same time it's gonna be the biggest cleanup. I'm also World Cleanup Day ambassador. So I'm gonna swim 30 miles on my birthday weekend, but I'm going back to back because the next day after I'm gonna swim a 10K open water race, and then it's gonna be also my birthday, what Miami Beach mayor here proclaimed as a Merle Lehman Day. So it's gonna be epic birthday. So I hope I'm gonna be wiser after that.
Yeah. Well, I hope so. You're already
learned
wiser
something from
anyway.
swimming 30 miles
That's right.
in a monofin.
In a monofin with no arm usage, by the way, mind you.
All
right. What a great group. What an incredible group of Eco Athletes Champions. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to hand it over to Breen to give a bit of a background on what Carbon Collective is about, the 401k aspect in particular, and then the referral program and how you all can get involved. Breen, if you need, you should be able to share your screen if you so choose.
Yep. Yeah, I'll share my screen. All right. Share. You all can probably see that. Okay, so I'm Breen Murphy. I'm the Vice President of Strategy and Marketing at Carbon Collective Investing. We are the first online investment advisor 100% focused on solving climate change. Just a quick aside about the company, it was basically founded because, once we read Project Drawdown, there was a recognition that we have the technology to solve the vast amount of climate change. What was missing was really, human will. And so there's all types of human will, political, religious, cultural. And so we looked at money as an expression of human will. And for myself, I'm a climate activist. I've been with Citizens Climate Lobby for 10 years now. I used to fly to DC every year. I have a 2 and a 5-year-old and COVID hit, so I haven't gone back just yet, but my hope is not this year, but next year. I directed a documentary called 7 Crossings with hopefully a future eco athlete. His name is Jamie Mitchell. He's the best paddler in the history of paddling. He won the Molokai to Oahu 10 times and then became a professional big wave surfer, where he's like a top 3 big wave surfer in the world. So that's where I've spent quite a bit of my time. And now I'm at Carbon Collective Investing. So I'm really excited about this partnership with Eco Athletes. It's an affiliate partnership, and what that means is we will, upon referrals, we will give bonuses to Eco Athletes. I'll go into a little bit more detail, but first I wanted to talk about the 401k, the employer 401k program, so you guys get an understanding of what it is that you're referring. So at Carbon Collective, we talk a lot about aligning your 401k with your mission with these companies, right? A lot of you are around, or you have some co-founders here. This is very US based, but there'll be a lot of companies that have a mission that they're really striving towards, or they take ESG and sustainability really seriously. And so we see these companies not continue to invest in fossil fuels, which is not in alignment with what they value. Because when it comes to solving climate change, we basically have to stop investing in fossil fuel extraction completely. And we have to start investing at least $5 trillion a year into climate solutions. That is with the Inflation Reduction Act, that is maybe not 10 times anymore, but it used to be about 10 times more investment into climate solutions. And with investing with retirements, we're looking at an industry that is in the high teens of trillions of dollars. And so this is a good place for us to be allocating investments into climate solutions. But like the standard portfolios, the most famous one would be Vanguard. They really don't align with that. They're still allocating 8% of their portfolios into fossil fuels and only a little less than 4% into climate solutions. And what you end up finding is in the 401k world, right? And this is basically it's retirement plans that incentivize people to invest at employers. So this could be, if you're a founder of a company, like, you have employees there, you may have benefits like a 401k, but this goes all the way up to, anybody that's affiliated with sponsors. You will have these, sponsors that will have, like Red Bull will have $300 million of that. 8% will be invested into fossil fuels. So you're looking at about $25 million at a place like Red Bull. Like that's just a good example of like how much money at just a regular company, or like not a regular company, but like a fairly well-known company would be invested in fossil fuels. So, and what we've seen is just, there's been no one that has really created sustainable target date options. What that means is you get an entire portfolio. This is of stocks and of bonds that are diversified across all different sectors, that are sustainably aligned. For us, that means we divest from fossil fuels and reinvest in climate solutions. And so there's no one that really does this. There's a few people that do a little bit of it. Betterment on their own platform has a climate impact portfolio, although they don't reduce their fossil fuel emissions very much. And Natixis has some ESG options. But for the most part, there's no one that's really doing what we do. And so this is like an exciting time for us because we've been talking with very, very large companies and there's a lot of interest. And so this is where we look at, to a company that's got an inspiring company mission. They have mission-driven employees, mission-aligned perks, right? So that's what we're really trying to get at. So that's what we do. We align, like we create sustainable target date options inside somebody's 401k.
Breen,
I wanted to show you this though. Yeah.
Breen, what is just talk a bit about target date options?
Yeah. So a target date option is it's a very unique retirement option for a portfolio. You invest in one fund or one option and you decide I'm going to invest in I want to retire in 2050, right? That option will gradually get more conservative as you get closer to your retirement date. And what that means is there'll be more bonds in a portfolio, which is, you tend to, it's basically lending money, right? Like bonds, you lend money and you get a little bit of your money back every year. It's very stable. If you hold it for the entire duration of the loan, you get all your money back plus like the money you got every year. Stocks, for the most part, increase in value because they're companies that continue to grow. You have a little bit in Amazon, you have a little bit in Costco, and if you have a portfolio, it will have a bunch. But they tend to be more risky, right? Because they go up and down. You hear all the time in the news. It's like, they did amazing. Stock jumps a lot. They did terrible. Stock goes way down. So it's a lot less predictable. But if you do them together, it can create a lot of growth while minimizing your risk. And in a target date approach, it means I'm picking to retire in 2050 or 2040 or 2035. And my basically the combination of my stocks and bonds will be appropriate for my timeline. So it could be, if you're retiring in 2050, it might be 80% in stocks because you're not going to retire for quite some time, and 20% in bonds. But in 2045, it may be 50% in stocks and 50% in bonds, right? So you have a more conservative part of your portfolio, making so there's like a lower likelihood of something dramatic happening to your investments. So in terms of like how 401k works. We are the investment advisor. That means we build the portfolios for companies. We are not the software. We go out and find the right custodian and their software for that company. This could be, we actually work on Vanguard right now. So there's a lot of big companies. A lot of people are really upset with Vanguard because they are not taking climate risk into their portfolios. And I think it's a long haul because they'd have to completely change their investment approach, their passive investing approach. So something that's really interesting is we could work with somebody that is working with Vanguard and become the investment advisor on that platform very quickly. And then, within about 6 weeks, we could create sustainable options in their portfolios. So they have, so that would be in here in the ADP, Vestwell, Ubiquity. A lot of people, they really care about their payroll software. If you run a company, you may be familiar with this, but it would be like QuickBooks or Gusto, or, there's all these softwares that help you pay your employees, and they need to connect with your 401k because basically your payroll goes in to your investments automatically. And that is the beauty of this. And it's before taxes. And so it gives this person the incentive to save for a long, until 2050, if they're going to retire in 2050. I'm just using that timeline because I think that's a common timeline amongst the people in this call of when they might think about retiring, maybe even on the short side. This is something that is very unique. You will not find portfolios like ours anywhere else. So I said our theory of change, we divest from fossil fuels, we reinvest in climate solutions, and we pressure the rest to change. That is how we believe we are going to help solve climate change through our investment portfolios. So we are building these portfolios to do just that, and no one else does it. The key, though, that's really different from 401k at a business, as well as like in comparison to an individual, is we are providing options for people. And what that means is we have some options that are just the standard run of the mill. This is traditional. We have ESG options, and we have our signature option. The reason why we do this is for fiduciary responsibility. Right now, when you're looking at the Department of Labor, they are mandating and looking kindly upon companies that create investment plans that provide a wide variety of options that minimize their amount of risk and create incentives for people to actually invest. One of the problems that the government sees is there are some types of plans where not enough people get excited and actually invest. There could be a whole host of reasons. Maybe they can't afford it right now. They need all their paycheck to go to their expenses. But another reason that we see it is because people don't like the options that they are given, and they are aware they have sustainable options. They're more likely to contribute. And so what we see is that while we can't completely replace the standard option, what we can do is add an option and allow a lot more people to invest sustainably. And this is something that will help if you talk to somebody. It's like we only add options, we don't take them away. So, and then what this ends up doing is, while this is fairly complicated, even in explaining this to you in just a few slides, somebody, the employees at the firm, all they have to do is choose which type of portfolio they want and when they're going to retire. That is it. That's all they have to do. And so that makes a really simple investing decision that is using best investment practices, but is also providing them options that are aligned with solving climate change. This is a huge deal. No one has done this. They've been very afraid because Vanguard has basically defined what is the right type of investing for the last 40 years. And like to the point that it has become almost a legal definition. And so that's why no one else has done this. We believe this is a smart way to invest, in addition to being the ethically right way to invest. And what I mean by that is, if you were at the last call, I talked a lot about how oil is unlikely to be a good investment over the next 20 or 30 years. In the last 15 years already, it has been significantly underperforming. Even with last year, I'm sure you've read like Exxon had like record earnings. It's easy to have a record when you suck, right? So like, this is something that like we talk about. It's like they're not a good business, and they get this perception that they're a necessary thing to invest in. But the reality is more people are choosing electric vehicles, more people are going solar, more people are adding batteries, more people are choosing renewable energy from the utilities. Utilities are adding it at a very fast clip. And so what we're seeing is oil is not as competitive anymore. And so that's why we believe that this is actually the smart way to invest, as well as the ethically correct way to invest. And so this data is actually old, so forgive me. But like up until last year, we saw like a really significant outperformance of our portfolios. It has come back to being closer to even. We're still outperforming, but is much, much closer to even. And that's because 2022 oil was like basically the only thing, or the only sector that performed well. And so we're much more similar. But what it does is, when you're looking at what the Department of Labor is creating the parameters for employers, for the businesses on what they can do as a fiduciary, we're looking at similar return, similar risk, and so that is something that allows for more options and greater participation. So we believe that this is the right thing to do under the responsibilities of employers. So that's a little bit on our plan. In terms of what we can do like with eco athletes, basically the simplest thing is we are looking for introductions to businesses that have or need 401ks, right? And if they sign up and invest with us, we will give the 6 months of fees to eco athletes. Now, for example, I'll just use Red Bull because I brought them up before. I don't know if anybody knows anybody there. But if you're looking at like a Red Bull that has like $300 million, that would be, if they use our normal fee structure, which is like 0.25% that we charge annually, you are looking at about like $350,000, right? For something that large. It would be paid in 2 chunks, from us to eco athletes. And I believe Lou was talking about it doing 80% to the student, to the athlete, and 20% to eco athletes.
That's correct. That's correct.
And so that could be a really sizable amount. But even the small companies, you're looking at like a few $100s for every company that would be signing up. Like at minimum, we're looking at $500. And that would be for a company just starting their plan. And so that's something that we want to share. Like, and those are really good because they sign on much faster, right? Like, Gary, he's got a company. If he decided he wanted to add a 401k, like he has much more in his control over the 401k if he is the founder, right? And so that can sign up fast. That can get checks a little bit more quickly. So that's an example of that. The bigger ones are going to take more time. We do have a really good team, and we're completely unique. No one in the industry does what we do. I would say the downside is that we are new. We have some great articles written about us, and we've been featured in a lot of different outlets. We've been in Employee Benefits News, Fast Times, Wall Street Journal, Barron's. We've been in a whole bunch of these places that are relevant to people, but we are not broadly known yet. So both the lack of awareness and our size is probably the biggest drawbacks for people to actually sign on with us. But the whole industry hasn't thought of a way to do this. So it just isn't a new way to do this that a lot of people are very, very excited about, to the point that there's shareholder resolutions at places like Amazon where they're not offering sustainable options, and they don't know what to do. Google doesn't offer sustainable options. They don't know what to do. I'm talking with people at Google, right? So even though we're new, because we have a very clear theory of change that matches employer best practices, and we have like a really good financial education. We have a financial coach on our staff. We're able to really meet the needs of quite a few different companies. So in terms of what we're looking for, I have a little introduction email. That is what we'll have, like a template. Feel free to, but all we're looking for is for someone to connect with me, and I'll be able to, keep in my CRM, like, Rian from Eco Athletes, and we'll be able to credit Eco Athletes back. So that's the way that I'll be able to keep track of it on my end. What we're in the process of doing is adding social media that you can post, that include a web page that people can sign up on directly, so they'll be automatically categorized appropriately, instead of relying on my work, which I'm good, but it always helps when it's automatic. I'm a human. And then yeah, I got a hand raise. So yeah, Merla, that was you, right?
Do you want to hold the questions till the end, Breen?
I'm basically at the end, right?
Oh, okay.
So I talked about what we do. We create sustainable investment options in addition to the regular ones. We have a very competitive offering that no one else does. And it does take time. We could handle any of these different size companies. We got great partners to help build trust. I explained the benefit, and then we'll have an email template for you all to be able to use for introductions.
All right, we have a question first from Merla.
Merla.
Yeah, I just had a question. So we're gonna receive all of that, what you just shared with us as well on the email, right?
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll send you over an email template, and if you want, I can also send you over this presentation.
Okay, because I already have a couple of people on my mind to that, and another one is that, so you look in companies, but also you look in teams, as I understood.
Yeah, so it's anybody that is a US based business, right? And so what I mean, or an employer is a better term for it, an US based employer, because it could be an association usually has employees, like the National Basketball Association, or the National Football Association. I'll use that one because Gary was a football player, not a basketball player. Although maybe he was a good basketball player too. I don't know.
He was good at a lot of different sports back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, the tyranny of choice. He had to choose football. But like there's a lot of different leagues that will have their own associations. You'll be like a Team USA. There'll be sponsors, coaches, managers. Right, there's all these different types of people that are surrounding athletes like yourselves. So as long as they're based in the United States, and that's the key thing for us. Right now, it's a changing regulatory environment depending on where you go from country to country, and we are not in the position where we can do that yet, but we hope to one day.
Are you guys gonna move that to blockchain as well?
Could you just repeat that question about blockchain? I want to hear that better.
No, it's just I mean I deal with two countries, Estonia and US, but some people want to move their retirement, the whole thing to blockchain to see all the movements and the system. Yeah. So that's why I'm asking, is that something on your guys' future?
I would say the most likely thing that involves blockchain is if we started to create, and we've talked about this, but this is years away, just so you know, even this one. There are a bunch of countries that are looking at ways to incentivize conservation, right? So a good example of this would be Ecuador. They have the Amazon, right, at the back. So they want to incentivize conservation. So they could lease out that area to more drilling, or what they could do is lease it out to carbon credit people who would track the emissions and the value of those emissions on the blockchain and create carbon credits, which would then be really interesting to invest in, because if you bought carbon credits now, it is very likely that there will be carbon taxes and the cost of carbon will continue to go up. And so you'll be able to like kind of hold the, like you could buy up a lot of those carbon offsets now in a way that allows for you to sell them much later. And then ideally, I mean, in this world at a profit, while incentivizing this original group to hold, to keep conserving their natural resources. That said, that's a ways away. So that is a hypothetical situation, and I do not think that it's something that we should count on in any time soon.
Any other questions? I have some. Riley, you're up.
Yeah, I do have a question. At what point should we get you involved, Breen? Would it be we send out the email template? Should we talk to like people we have in mind one-on-one, and then, or should we just bring you in immediately? Or does it just depend on how close we are to?
Yeah, so I don't want to give you an it depends answer, but I will give you a helpful version of it depends, right? And what I mean by that is, if you know this person really well and you know where they stand ethically and you know that this is something to be interested in, you could, like, it's very easy for you to just email them and say, hey, you know, I just met, you know, Breen at Carbon Collective. They're doing really interesting work around creating sustainable 401k options. I think you would really like this. Would you like me to introduce you to them? Right? If you know that person really well, like, for example, like Lou, right? Like if you knew Lou, you're like, hey, Lou, like you have eco athletes. This is right up your alley. You have to know about this. Then I would do it. But like, if it's someone else, like, let's say,
like my university, like
let's say it's a university, right? Yeah. So the university, it could be like, you may need to talk to a professor that is getting retirement benefits that would actually be able to advocate better for it. So you might need to talk to the professor and find the one. So universities, I think, are hardest because there's the most bureaucracy, but I would say you're really likely to have at a university, like maybe a climate scientist that is very well aware of the dangers of climate change, and would be willing to say like, hey, this is something I would really like, you know. And in that case, you know, maybe it's just, it would be talking to them and then introducing them to me, and then they would say, you got to talk to our benefits person.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. It also, like, if it's somebody that's an employee, right, it's going to be really different. So maybe you have, let's say you're sponsored by a company, or you have some sort of endorsement deal. You know, there may be people that have like these sponsorships, and it's like the person that is sponsoring you may be part of the marketing department, right? And so your relationship may be there. And so it could be like, hey, you know, I see your brand is doing this really interesting work. Have you thought about adding 401k options? It could also like help, you know, if you may be, you'll probably want to disclose it in a way where it's like, hey, like I have an affiliate relationship with them. You know, would you like to talk to Carbon Collective? Would you like to talk, like have someone at your benefits? So it depends on your relationship to the person. If you're close to the person and then in decision making, I would say, you know, like a Lou, I would just say like, send them the template, like, and just introduce them to me right away. If it's not, you may want to have either a conversation or send them the template and like get the response and then introduce me. It's like, so there's like just a little bit of variation. All I would say though is like getting us into the conversation as quick as possible is really helpful, whether you're talking to your climate scientist professor, because I can help him talk to him or her talk to the benefits person. You know, so whoever your contact is, I would love to be able to talk with them. Okay. Also, that helps reduce the amount of work on your end. I'm just more familiar with it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna, you know, I mean, this is what I do all day, every day, you know, yeah. So I want to take this off your plate. really what I'm looking for is the influence of you all. And while I don't have like, you know, the exorbitant budgets of a Vanguard to pay up front, I do have the ability to pay you out of our fees. Like we'll do sweat right now. We'll work like really hard and get everything done so that we can get this action. We got some, and like, there's a bunch of fun stuff I'm excited to announce. It won't be carbon credits, Marla, but there'll be a lot more fun stuff that we'll get to announce later in the year.
Well, I just want to come back why I had this question, because actually I also work with Google people right now, and
Yeah.
I know they are all about putting carbon credits to blockchain.
Yeah, some of them are. Yeah. So I haven't talked with that side of the business yet. I've talked with their green 401k group and their finance emissions working group. So that's like, I'm pretty high up there right now. So, but I don't deal with like the Google folk on that type of work. It's super interesting though. So I think that's exciting.
Other questions?
Yeah, how's like small can the business be, like, or do investment platforms for individuals?
Yeah. Okay, so that's two questions, I think.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
how small businesses can we help, as well as do we help individuals, right?
Yeah.
So we can help a small business. We will likely pick a different custodian or record keeping partner. And so what I mean by that is we have a group called Vestwell, and they are designed to be less expensive and help small businesses create their own 401k plans. Like that is what they're supposed to do. When you get at some of the bigger companies, I'll use a Vanguard just because it's like well known. They tend to charge much higher rates, and trusting that their brand will be enough for people to invest. So we would tend to pick a different partner depending on the size of the company, but we can help somebody that's starting up their first retirement plan if we want. We do also have an individual platform. I've talked with Lou about doing a referral there. I don't think the opportunity is quite as large on the referral side for that. But we can do that, and we do offer it for individuals. If you go to carboncollective.co, you'll still see the individual is front and center. But what I'd say is over time, we'll likely switch so that the 401k becomes the focus on our homepage, more so than the individual investing. But we do have an individual investing.
And we could do an individual referral program, but I think it's best to start with this, and then we could add that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what, any other questions before I start asking away? So my question is a couple. One, would you want, so let's say Jeannie refers you to a company, they want to meet. Would you want Jeannie on that call, or is that she hands it off as the meeting gets scheduled and then it goes?
I don't think so. I think if we scheduled a meeting, we would not need Jeannie or Riley or anybody here to be on the call. I mean, we can really take it over from there.
Got it.
They're more than welcome to join, right? If like I have no problem with them joining on it, like on an introductory call, especially if it's like someone that's like close to you that you know that's like running a business. I'm always happy to have you join. But I would, my default would be like, you do not have to join. We're not asking you to do that. And we don't think it's necessary.
Got it. And then another follow-up question to that. Has Carbon Collective done referral programs with other either groups or other individuals, and how is that, if so, how has that been going?
Yeah, so we've just started this. We call this internally our Scout program. We've just started it a few months ago. It is going very well in that it started a lot of great conversations, but it takes a little bit of time for people to actually make a decision. So We have one other affiliate, like kind of larger scout relationship with Heavy Water Surf. It's a professional big wave surfing group. Jamie Mitchell is of course a part of that, and a leader of that, because I mentioned him earlier. But we are in the very early stages. You all are like our beta testing cohort for this like larger group. So I don't have results yet. What I find is that after an introduction, my guess would be it would probably take about 3 months for people to decide to sign with us, and another 3 months for people to sit with us. So it takes a little bit of time to get money, because we do fees, so it's every quarter. And so it's not a right away thing. I wish it could be, but we're not there yet.
Just following up on one thing you just said, you said it might take 3 months to sign with us and 3 months to sit with us.
3 months to actually get to invest with us. So once they sign, we might need to create a plan, either create a plan or move a plan. And that can take,
there's onboarding.
Some of them take longer than that, but
there's an on-ramp.
There's an on-ramp.
Got it.
It's not a fast decision. There's an on-ramp.
And then in terms of, April, we get you a referral to company X. July, company X says, yes, we'd like Carbon Collective to be our investment advisor and do this for our 401k. And then, so July, so then October-ish, they would start, that's when the investing would start into the—
Yes, most likely.
And then after 6 months after that, the commission or the referral—
you get 2 checks at 3 months and at 6 months.
3 months and 6 months. Got it.
Yeah.
And I think those are my questions for now.
Yeah. This is definitely something that we want to be very successful, so we can start to incentivize earlier in the relationship, but we are not at that point. So I recognize that this is a time commitment on those decisions. A bigger company, by the way, it will be longer. We are in active talks with larger companies, and it just takes longer. And so I like a really massive company that you may know, I think a massive company is almost guaranteed to be at least 9 months. They meet quarterly on this. The only way it would happen is if we met a founder of a very large company that you knew well, that like they would still have to be like privately held. It's possible, but I just want to set expectations as best I can.
And so is it fair to say the smaller you get, the quicker it could be? It just means less, lower commissions, but still it's building up the amount of investment dollars that are going to climate solutions based companies.
Yep. Yeah. And the more company we sign on, the more companies get comfortable with using our platform. Right. And using our investment management for their 401ks. So right now we are really focused on mission alignment more than size, because our role is a very scalable role. There's things for a larger company that require a greater level of care in terms of reporting, but we're prepared to address that as it comes up. Haven't had the good fortune to get that just yet, but we're in the process on that.
And I'm sorry if I'm dominating the questions, but I keep on thinking of, so you're going to send the email template. Is there something else where you could send, and it might be very similar to the template, but like talking points? Because for example, Riley was talking about, hey, she knows somebody that, or inferring that, wow, there's someone that I'm close to that I could talk to. Riley, I don't mean to put words in your mouth if I'm saying something wrong.
No, you're good.
But it would be good if to do that, she would have, Like,
Yeah, like
if,
who
like
we
if she
are,
were doing
like
it for
3 bullet
Geico,
points. Yeah,
if she was doing it for Geico, she'd say 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on car insurance by switching
Yeah.
to Geico.
yeah, yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, like when it comes to it, we haven't gotten that like quick yet. Like that is a really that's a really great line. I mean,
I know, I'm just being a wise
historically
ass.
good. But I would say we're the only 401k investment manager that creates sustainable target date options on multiple platforms. That's like the shortest description of what we are that we have right now.
And what I would say is if you could have a couple of bullet points about climate solutions, maybe, you know, how much is it assets under management? Is that the term,
that's one term.
You know, so people could get a sense, you know, anything that's just like, you know, or a couple of highlights that you would say, oh yeah, we've done this and this.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
I had a quick question too.
Yeah.
So I just learned what the target date retirement plan is. If someone has a retirement plan in a 401k, is that a term? Is that like, would they know they have a target date retirement plan?
If they are a benefits
normal
coordinator, yes. If they are not, I would say most often no.
Okay, because I wasn't sure. Just like Lou said, like if that was a term I should use.
It's important for the decision maker.
Okay.
Like it's an important term for the decision maker.
But maybe not my first like point.
Your first contact will recognize that it's important, but they won't very likely will not understand what it is.
Okay.
Just there's not very many people that understand that.
Got it.
And then I'm gonna follow up on that. In terms of like I can imagine like in any sale, I'm gonna go to the people that I know that either are decision makers or are one degree of separation removed from a potential decision maker. If you can write down, okay, these are the types of people who are decision makers, benefits coordinators, but there could be other people. I think that's important. And then, but I also think some amongst our champions who will be very enterprising will they'll try and say, okay, who's the benefits person at Florida State University? Just making it up.
I could tell, like, if you have a specific ask, I can tell you like fairly quickly usually.
Right, but in other words, like there's going to be people who are going to cold call. Who should they be, you know, not calling them, but finding an email address. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's most often small companies, it's going to be the founder. At like small, medium companies, it will be in the finance department, like a CFO. That person usually handles benefits. As it gets larger, it usually goes into HR and benefits. So that's about right. You can never go wrong with a founder though. Like that person will always be able to get it to the right person in their organization.
Yeah. Well, all I'm asking is if it would be great, all of what you're saying, if that could be all like in either a fact sheet or an FAQ sheet. So then it's just like right there for someone to have. So, and is it okay? Do you have to be an Eco Athletes champion to refer? Can you be like the founder of Eco Athletes?
If you refer it, for sure, Lou.
To refer, because I'm not really a good athlete.
Lou, you know what? I'm going to forgive your athletic prowess
or lack thereof.
Say you can still be a part of this party.
I mean, I have a pretty good first serve in tennis, but that's about it.
I love it. Yeah. Like as you bring stuff in, like just let me know.
All right.
Like we'll for sure 100% will include you. I'm sure you have like a really great network. And it would be great to see like what that money can do to the Eco Athletes organization.
not
Like,
only
I'd
that,
love to cut you a check where it allows you to hire like more people, more support, build
we
out the
need it. We
programs. Like,
need it. And because we are growing, and this is any other questions from someone other than me?
yeah, the thing I say is, I'm gonna I'll follow up in the next day with materials. You have any questions, contact me. Like I've already spoken to quite a few different eco athletes. None of them are on this call, but there's been some before. So if you ever need any help, just like reach out. I'm always happy to talk.
And then just so you know, we have another session tomorrow at noon. So then I would expect Breen to get back to us sometime after that.
Yeah.
Noon Eastern, I should say.
Yep.
9 a.m. Pacific time.
Yep. I'll be ready for it tomorrow morning, Lou.
All right. I really want to thank Breen for all of his devotion to this, his belief in what we're about.
Yeah.
His time that he's taking to explain this stuff to us. And I am constantly blown away by the Eco Athletes Champions.
Oh yeah, been really impressive.
I know it sounds hokey, but you guys just inspire me like nobody's business. So I really am so thankful to know each and every one of you. And we are this right here can really accelerate the climate comeback. So thank you for being a part of it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everyone jumping on this and sharing a little bit of their time. I'm hopeful I can be as helpful as possible.
All right, and have a great Tuesday night, and we will be in touch soon.
All right. See you, everybody. See you, Lou.
Thank you, Breen.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Lou.
you're welcome.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.